Since devolution in the UK, the FSB in Northern Ireland has worked to get right to the heart of the political system, to make sure the voice of its members is clearly heard. The Federation represents 7,500 members here, and almost all the legislation that affects them, except taxation, is made at Stormont. The FSB is pivotal here, giving evidence to committees, briefing elected members, staging and sponsoring events. We bring together politicians and business people to ensure that the elected members who make the laws fully understand the challenges facing businesses today. The FSB structure in Northern Ireland ensures that members are closely involved in that political process. The policy unit has a strong voice, working closely with the region to understand the issues that matter to its members, so we can speak on their behalf. All of our political and media engagement is underpinned by a detailed knowledge of members' views on key policy areas. This knowledge is built on the extensive survey programme that the FSB carries out both in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. There's also essential input from the FSB branch network. This gives the FSB a more robust and credible platform than any other business organisation. Survey findings play a key part in the development of FSB policy. Elected members, supported by the press and parliamentary team, are able to build campaigns to get political support for policy. We gain momentum by issuing briefing notes for politicians, as well as engaging with the print and broadcast media. One example is the campaign to devolve corporation tax powers to the Northern Ireland Assembly. The survey programme showed that 70% of members wanted lower business taxes. Northern Ireland is the only part of the UK that shares a land border with another EU state. In the Republic of Ireland, business taxes are much lower than in the north, with corporation tax around half the UK rate. Tens of billions of pounds of foreign direct investment has been flowing into the Republic in recent years, creating many thousands of jobs and large amounts of supply chain work for SMEs. To allow Northern Ireland to compete for that investment and not fall foul of European rules, tax-raising powers need to be transferred here to the Northern Ireland Assembly. This has made our lobbying campaign much more complex. Because of its troubled past, Northern Ireland doesn't have a conventional government and opposition. Instead, it has a mandatory coalition made up of all the parties, where each side has a veto, making agreement on policies difficult. The FSB's challenge is to harness political support right across this five-party coalition. But we are recognised by politicians as being the voice of the typical businesses that make up over 99% of the local private sector. Our policy started to take hold, and within 6 months each of the five parties were backing the FSB's campaign.
While there is no silver bullet, that if you're looking for a significant game changer, the power over corporation tax is the only thing that is on the horizon that I think can have the kind of impact that is necessary. The issue central to corporation tax is rebalancing our economy between the public and private sector and ensuring that we have a vibrant economy that can grow. And that's a big issue, and I haven't seen any other propositions being brought forward that will have the same impact as corporation tax powers would.
Well, Sinn Féin are very supportive and have expressed their support of transferring fiscal levers generally to the Assembly. I think if we want to respond to economic difficulties, we need to have that ability to control fiscal levers. Corporation tax powers are a key component of that. They're not the complete answer to our economic woes, but they're a very strong component of being able to shape our own economy to match our own needs. And so we are very supportive that those powers be transferred. And I think it is important that there is momentum in the process that's ongoing to have the powers transferred, but also to give that strong signal to business that these powers will be transferred, they will be enacted. We will try and harmonise corporation tax rates across this island, and that, I think, in turn gives business the encouragement and the confidence to invest here. And that's essentially what the devolution of corporation tax powers are about, is about getting inward investment and stimulating economic growth.
This is where we are. And our job, I believe, as politicians is to listen to small business people and ask them what circumstances, what environment we need to create for them to grow and to prosper. So, you know that we've been leading the charge for corporation tax, but that is only one measure in what I believe should be a basket of measures, and that basket is actually the economic enterprise zone that the Secretary of State has promised us. And what we need to hear from small business is what else goes into that basket. Do we cut red tape? I think we do. Do we have rates relief? What other measures? And let's be imaginative about what else we put into that basket to create the environment where small businesses can grow and prosper.
Yes, I do believe powers should be devolved. I believe that whole debate has to open up, and I think that we have to. There's two dimensions to it. First of all, the benefits of the corporation tax, but secondly, and more importantly, that it devolves responsibility down onto the ground here where local people can take local decisions in local interests. And I would strongly urge the Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Investment, and indeed the Executive as a whole, to put more support into small business, growing small business in such a way that small business becomes medium business and medium business becomes big business.
We may even be joined by some opposition MPs.
The big issue at the moment is corporation tax. Do you feel that there's a sense within Westminster that they will press ahead and will give the powers to the executive?
Well, my instinct would be that it's more a case of how and when than if it's going to be devolved, and I would hope that that's the case. That's certainly the noises that we've been having when we've asked the question from Treasury. I think it's important that we do get it at the right price because there is a cost to it, and we need the flexibility to be able to reduce it when we bring it to Northern Ireland so that we can actually make it an attractive prospect for people who are looking to inwardly invest or to expand their business.
As well as lobbying in Northern Ireland, the case was made strongly to the Treasury and the Cabinet by our UK policy members. Back in Belfast, the FSB invited Secretary of State Owen Paterson to visit the Press and Parliamentary Office. This was to ensure he understood the strength of feeling amongst FSB members and to guarantee him support in building the case in Cabinet.
Well, I've been absolutely clear there are world-class businesses in Northern Ireland. We just haven't got enough of them. We've got huge advantages. We've got the peace process settled down. We've got stable politics. We've got the English language. We've got very good telecommunications. We've got Project Kelvin giving the best broadband across the UK. We've got 2 cracking universities and we've got the Open University. You've got an education system which delivers 10% better GCSEs and A-levels than the rest of the UK. But you've still got this problem with business being attracted to the other side of the border by corporation tax. So I am absolutely convinced that there is no single bullet, but having corporation tax powers here, giving the executive the power to reduce tax and make Northern Ireland competitive with the Republic would be a massive bonus. Every business I go to in Northern Ireland is generally very pleased with the workforce, the dedication, the skills. That's not a problem. We just need more of them. And I know absolutely clearly that if we have a reduction in corporation tax, we will see more business activity from indigenous businesses and we will bring in fresh business.
In a pre-budget letter to the Chancellor George Osborne, the FSB highlighted this policy and urged him to adopt it.
Northern Ireland is very much different, I think, to some of the other issues that affect some of the devolved areas. But one thing I'm always very, very keen to point out to colleagues is the fact that the devolved areas have a unique opportunity and they also have something that is pretty unique to what we have in Westminster and Brussels, and that is that you have shorter lines of communication. You know who your ministers are in exactly the same way that we in Westminster do, but you can get to them quicker, you can pick up the phone easier, and you can get your points over and they actually take them on board and they deliver on them. And I think that's the point that we need to be making sure as we go forwards. That's the whole point about the Real Life Entrepreneurs campaign, to get politicians to stop talking the talk and actually deliver for the micro and small businesses, which are different in the generic term of SME.
The European dimension is also important. We worked with MEP Diane Dodds to publish an EU funding directory listing all the sources of support for SMEs in Northern Ireland. Devolution of corporation tax powers will require EU approval, and the FSB's engagement in Europe will help ensure this policy wins support and overcomes any obstacles. The FSB campaign continues at Stormont, in Whitehall and in Westminster, and we're taking the lead by bringing other business groups together with politicians to maintain momentum. FSB members see the effects of our lobbying daily in the media. Policy victories, such as winning small business rates relief, have already benefited thousands of our members. But much of the work is also achieved quietly, by taking the argument to the people who can affect the environment in which businesses operate. Using research-based evidence and the hard-won reputation for integrity that the FSB Policy Unit has built over time, we make the case in a compelling way.
I believe that we can work together, and when we do work together it will be for the benefit of all the people of Northern Ireland. And again, my thanks for inviting me here this evening, and I make the invitation to you. If at any time the FSB want to come and see any of our ministers, the ministerial doors are open to your organisation, and we always welcome your advice. Thank you.
The corporation tax campaign still has a number of major obstacles to clear. But this is just one of many policy battles in the FSB's drive to protect and promote small business.